Hey everybody, thank you for checking out the Department of Sociology and Social Work at Mount St. Joseph University. I'd like to take a moment to introduce our department faculty. So first, I'd like to introduce you to Professor Roxana Hawkins.
Hi, everybody. I'm so glad to be with you guys today, wherever you happen to be watching this. My name is Roxana Hawkins, and I'm an assistant professor of social work and the director of field education here at the Mount. The director of field education gets the privilege of putting you guys, if you're a social work major, into various different internships during your senior year. I also get the chance to work with you and do some of the really fun classes, in my opinion, as far as working on interviewing and assessment skills and group facilitation skills. Social work is something I've been doing for about the past decade. I'm a licensed independent social worker in the state of Ohio, and I'm also a licensed independent chemical dependency counselor in the state of Ohio. So social work is my passion, and I love watching you all grow as social work becomes your passion as well.
Thank you, Professor Hawkins. And now I'd like to introduce Dr. Richard Simon.
Hi, and thanks everyone for coming. My name is Dr. Richard Simon, and I'm the director of the sociology program here at the Mount. And I've been teaching sociology courses since 2008. I have taught a total of 17 different courses in sociology, things ranging from gender and technology to drugs and society to economic inequality, and many others. And so I've been doing this for a long time. Teaching is my passion, and I just love being able to share what I've learned, and also learn from my students as well in the classroom as we discuss important social issues and social problems. And so again, thank you all for coming today, and look forward to sharing a little bit more about the program here at MSJ.
Thank you, Dr. Simon. And I'm Dr. Jennifer Withrow. I am the director of the social work program here at the Mount, as well as the department chair of sociology and social work. I have been in social work for 20 years now, and I am a true generalist practitioner. We're going to talk about that here in a moment, but our program is going to give you the skill sets to be able to work with any type of specialized population. And so my history has been working with foster care, mental health, addiction services, domestic violence, and gerontology services many years back. So as we've introduced ourselves, I do want to comment about our department because I love our faculty. We have these shared same values when it comes to engagement with students. My colleagues here, we all have an open door policy. So whether we are traditionally in the office or we are adapting to the times of COVID, we are here for our students, to support our students, to meet with our students and engage our students. So we hope that you will become part of our small departments. And that's what I want to talk to you about next is our small but mighty departments. You see that we have 3 majors: behavioral sciences, social work, and sociology. So we have a lot of adaptability in our majors to where you have the ability to take elective courses to have a minor. Now you can have a minor from any department within Mount St. Joe, but in our department, we specifically focus on sociology, social psychology. Professor Hawkins is in the process of creating an addiction studies minor. We have a gerontology minor and a nonprofit management. We're also in the very beginning stages of developing a social justice minor, which we're really excited about and hope to have that created by the start of next fall.
And
we also have a few different organizations within our department. One is the Phi Alpha Honor Society for social work majors. So this is a national honor society that you are invited and selected into if you meet the requirements. We also have a social work club, which is open to all majors within the university. And so we have a lot of our social work, sociology, and behavioral science majors engage in the social work club, not only to meet together for friendship, camaraderie, but also to engage in services out in the community. One of the things that we've done in the past is volunteer at food pantries, and we've also held sexual assault awareness events on campus. And then finally, we have an AmeriCorps position within our department that we supervise. And the AmeriCorps position is a federal grant program that oversees our Student Resource Center. So we work with students who are struggling with any type of socioeconomic barriers that may prevent them from being successful while they're at the Mount. And so this is an opportunity for students to apply and to become an AmeriCorps member during their time at Mount St. Joe. Do any of my colleagues have anything that they want to add about our departments?
One thing that I wanted to add that I think is particularly exciting is that with the addiction studies minor, there are built-in courses that will ensure that you have met the educational requirements to get a CDCA, which is the very entry-level credential for chemical dependency counseling. So before you ever graduate, before you ever cross the stage, you actually have the education and can apply to be certified as a chemical dependency counselor assistant, which is phenomenal to be able to do that. If you complete the whole addiction studies minor, you would have the education component to get a couple higher tiers, which is what would be called the LCDC3 in the state of Ohio, upon graduation and having employment hours. But even before that, while you're still in school, you would be able to have a certification and be a certified professional in the area of chemical dependency counseling before you would even ever graduate, which I think is hugely marketable for people to gain really great skills. And you don't have to be a social work major to be an addiction studies minor.
Yes,
Thank you.
Professor.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Dr. Simon.
I just wanted to say something about the behavioral science program and what that has to offer and how that's different than sociology. And so sociology is the study of social institutions like the family or education. Like, for example, sociologists are interested in understanding why people get divorced or why some people want to have more children in a larger family than others. Or a sociologist might study the kinds of values that get taught in educational settings, not just the curricular content, but the kinds of values that get transmitted. We call that the hidden curriculum. And so sociologists study institutions and also social inequalities, such as gender inequalities or racial inequalities in society. And so a lot of sociology is focused on those things. But I do want to also mention the behavioral science degree. And so the behavioral science degree is actually a collaboration between different social science programs on campus. And so it's a combination of courses from sociology, but also from psychology and from criminal justice as well. And so the behavioral science degree really gives you a combination of perspectives from different social science areas. And so a lot of students have found that program to be really to their liking, because you're getting the sociology, but you're also getting the psychology and criminological components and perspectives on things. And it gives you kind of touchstones in all of these other social science disciplines. And so that provides you with a larger kind of set of skills and a theoretical kind of foundation for careers in a lot of different areas. And so I just wanted to make sure that those who are watching understand the difference between sociology and what we are doing here with the behavioral science degree.
Mm-hmm.
Great, thank you for that clarification, Dr. Simon.
Yeah.
I also mentioned before that we are a small but mighty department. We have about 35 majors in our department. So what that means for you is that you're going to get a lot of individualized attention. As I mentioned before, not only are your full-time faculty here to support you, but we have a small amount of adjunct faculty who are specialists in their fields, who teach some of our specialized courses as well. So we are here to really support you on your academic and professional journey. So that also allows us to provide additional services to our department. So for example, one of the requirements of our department majors is that they have to take statistics, and many students can struggle with statistics. And so Dr. Simon offers open hours where he specifically tutors our department students with statistics to help them during that semester that they're taking that course. I also offer APA workshops, especially when our students are getting ready to write those papers at the end of the semester. And they're like, how do I format this? We do a great job of helping and guiding you. And I know Professor Hawkins brings in library services into her courses to assist you with how do I look up these journal articles and what do they look like? And you have supports from the Writing Center. And so again, we also host get-togethers. And so, you know, pre-COVID, we would get together for pizza parties and everything. And now what we're doing is a lot of virtual stuff. So I know we're also planning to host a Netflix movie night. So for our department, you know, we're just going to set up a movie night and have a watch party and just to be able to chat, to engage and laugh together in a time where we can't always be together like we want to, but we still want to maintain those connections with our students, and our students want those connections within our within our departments for sure. Okay. So what is social work? And I'm going to ask Professor Hawkins to interrupt anytime that she wants, because social work is such an amazing and broad field. So we are a broad, diverse group of professionals who share a commitment to helping people within their society. As I mentioned, going through a Bachelor of Social Work program, you will learn curriculum from the generalist practitioner format. So that means you are going to learn skill sets to work with any population, children, families, addiction, gerontology, in school-based systems, in healthcare. And we do that by you're taking courses that are going to teach you these skill sets, such as interviewing and assessments, right? Group facilitation. So by the time that you are done taking Professor Hawkins' group facilitation course, you too can get up there within your agency and facilitate parenting classes or support groups or any other educational groups that you're interested in doing. We learn about human behavior in the social environments. And then you're going to learn about research with Dr. Simon. And at the end, you're going to conduct your own research projects. And what's awesome about that is you have the opportunity then to apply that research to present at a state or national conference. And so we just had one student who was just accepted in these last couple weeks to present at a conference that Dr. Simon helped her apply for. So we're really excited about those opportunities that you have. Also, from very early on, from the time that you start Introduction to your social work course, you are going to participate in some service learning activities, whether they be individually within their course or within a group project. So we do this specifically so that very early on in your academic career, you are building relationships with community partners. So you're getting out and you're meeting social workers, you're meeting executives of the different agencies. And that is going to give you such a great networking opportunity, especially when you become a senior and you're working with Professor Hawkins, getting ready for your field experience, which she's going to talk about in just a moment. You see on the right side of this slide where we've broken it down between micro level, meso level, and macro practice. We're also going to give you the skill sets to work with the different levels. So for example, in interviewing and assessment with Professor Hawkins, you're learning to work with clients on a one-on-one basis. But when you're with me in our community organization class, you're learning about how do I work with neighborhoods and communities. And then when you have me for your policy class, how do state, local, and federal policies impact not only our profession, but the clients we work with and the services that we provide. Professor Hawkins, do you want to add anything to that about our curriculum?
Well, I think one thing that's really exciting about social work is that it's a helping profession. So a lot of times you get people who think that they want to be nurses, but find out they don't like blood and maybe don't want to do so much science, or people who think they want to be teachers and figure out that kids aren't for them. And really, social work is a helping profession where our mission and what we're doing is helping make this world a better place. And so when you think about it, social workers are absolutely everywhere. There's this common misconception that all we do is child protective service work, and that's not it at all. You find teachers inside of schools. You find social workers absolutely everywhere. You find nurses inside of hospitals, and alongside of all of those helping professions are social workers. We're in schools, we're in hospitals, we're in jails and prisons, we're in police departments. We're all over the place. And so that is something that I think makes social work so unique, is that you are not limited at all in any way, shape, or form in what you can do. We're everywhere. We're in politics. We're running agencies. Sometimes the real question is, where are we not? Because there's almost not a single organization that somehow has not had a social worker who has helped them along the way in some way, shape, or form. Even if you think about large corporate P&G, social workers show up in their employee assistance programs where we're doing counseling and therapy for their employers. And so those are things that we look at. Or even diversity inclusion training, when you're going into large corporations and training them on how to understand, appreciate, and celebrate what it is that we all uniquely bring to the table and how that can make their corporation a better place. So I think that social work gives you this large breadth of options that you can do, and you're still helping people. So even if you don't decide to be a social work major now, if I haven't sold you enough just yet, if you ever get yourself in a situation where you're like, maybe this major isn't for me, but I still want to help people, social work might be the best option.
Yes, I completely agree, Professor Hawkins. Thank you. And we've included this slide, and this is just a few of the areas that you can be employed in with social work. So after you watch this video, I encourage you to come back, pause it on this slide, and read through and see if anything interests you. And again, if you have questions about specific career paths, please reach out to us. That's what we are here for. So we're talking about career paths, but how do we get there with the degrees? So what can your social work degree do for you? And Professor Hawkins is going to talk to us about what we can do with our Bachelor of Social Work degree as it increases our educational goals and opportunities.
Yeah, so I think one of the really neat things with the social work degree that's unlike some of our other counterparts is once you complete your degree in Ohio and many of our surrounding states as well, is that you are now eligible to be licensed with a bachelor's degree. And you can actually, in the state of Ohio, engage in doing therapy services, and those types of things. A lot of times there's a misconception that if you want to do therapy, you have to be a psychology major. That's the major that I was in my undergraduate degree. But what we forget is that you have to be able to be licensed, and a lot of states do not license individuals at that level outside of social work to do therapeutic interaction. And so that's one huge bonus of being a social work major. As you'll see on this slide, it talks about a number of what it says, it's supervised field experience, or what we call field placement, practicum hours. You'll hear a lot of these words changed around interchangeably. And this is where you will literally be working in an agency for 2 semesters for 16 hours a week. So you can have real life experience in the field of social work before you graduate. This is not something that's optional or that we just highly recommend. Social work wants you to have had the real lived experience and show us the skills that you've learned in the classroom. So the goal with social work is not that you just learn the theory of social work, but that you can apply it. And we want to see that happen as we partner with different agencies. Now, if you're not sold enough, the other added bonus of getting a BSW degree is that if you have the appropriate GPA in social work, you can apply to what's called an advanced standing Masters of Social Work program. So that would allow you to get a social work degree, a master's in social work, in as little as 30 credit hours, right? So we're seeing that most programs are 30 to 35 credit hours if you have the appropriate GPA and you have a BSW as your degree. There is almost no program out there in comparison that would allow you to get a master's degree in as little as 30 to 35 hours. You can get that done in 1 year. So really, you do a 4-year BSW plus 1, and you could have an MSW degree, a master's level degree, which also increases your earning capability. It increases your credential in some states. And so this is a really, really great thing to think about. In your MSW program, you will also not just be learning the theory of social work in a higher advanced level, but you will also go and practice that as well. And so that is something, whenever you look at that, the reason why you can do your MSW in such a decreased amount of time is because you've already done 400 of those 900 hours that are listed there for your practicum experience. So there's a lot of win-win that goes on in this scenario. Whenever you think about this, the idea that you can get a master's degree in 1 year or 30 hours versus individuals like me who had a degree in psychology, it took me 2 years and 60 hours, 60 credit hours. That's double the student loan amount or double the finances that I had to figure out how to pay for graduate school. But if I had been a BSW student, I would have only had to figure out how to pay for 30 hours to get my master's degree versus the 60 hours that I had to figure out. But it was well worth it, and it was a great decision that I made. I don't regret it one bit. So this is something, like I said, that has the potential to really amplify you and get that master's degree pretty quickly compared to some of the other helping professions.
Yeah, and I would also add, especially for those students who want to go the clinical route to become a therapist, the MSW, it not only is the most efficient pathway, but after graduating from your MSW, you can sit for your licensure called either an LCSW or an LISW, depending on the state that you live in.
Mm-hmm.
And the benefit to that, it does make you so much more marketable, because a licensed clinical social worker, a licensed independent social worker, we are the only profession, the only license that's accepted by all insurance companies.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that goes back to marketability, whether you're looking to get hired on by an agency or go into private practice.
Yeah, and so there were some numbers that were released recently that they said between 75 and 80% of all mental health services that are being billed to insurance companies come through social workers, right? And so that's a huge thing. So I always encourage students, go on Indeed, search social work, see what comes up, because the job demand based on the Bureau of Labor is that we are looking at within the next 6 years to grow 26%. To have the demand there for our credential set and for our discipline. And so that's something that's awesome, because you never want to get a degree and then be asking the question of, so how do I get a job? That's really never a problem whenever it comes to social work.
Thank you. All right, well, moving on, we have this other amazing major in our department, which is sociology, that Dr. Simon is going to share with us all about.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Withrow. Sociology, as I had mentioned before, is a scientific study of society. We study social institutions, social inequalities, patterns in how people interact with each other. And because sociology kind of covers a very wide array of different parts of society, it also prepares students for a wide array of careers. And so we've had students work, graduates get jobs in law enforcement. We've had graduates get jobs in educational settings. We've had graduates get jobs in early childhood development and in agencies that deal in those kinds of things. And so sociology will provide you with skills that are really transferable into a lot of social service professions. And so as Dr. Withrow had mentioned already, sociology majors learn statistical techniques. And while again, we've had students who had struggled with that, and we've developed this kind of tutoring program to help them out, those are really useful skills that transfer to a lot of different professions. And so any organization that deals with data in any way, you're going to get those kinds of skills to be able to function in those kinds of settings. We also had a recent graduate. Actually, it was a graduate in behavioral science, but he landed a job with Cincinnati Police Department, and he brought his research skills. Actually, he's not a sworn staff. He wasn't hired as an officer, but he's actually hired as a researcher. And so part of his job was to research what the programs that other departments used when to how to try and counsel officers who had used deadly force in the course of their job. And so the Cincinnati Police Department, their question was, well, what should be our policy in how to address the concerns of people who have gone through this? And part of his job was to help develop a policy for the Cincinnati Police Department. And so you learn skills in research, you learn skills in statistics, but also how complex organizations operate, right? And so part of what sociology studies is social structures, the way that these interlocking social roles kind of serve functions for individuals and organizations. And very often, companies, whether they're social service agencies or even in the private sector, have an interest in hiring people who understand those kinds of things and how those things work. And so often our graduates end up in management positions in the private sector. Excuse me. And also, part of what we learn in sociology is how biases can affect the way that we interact with people in social interactions. Oftentimes, people don't even realize that they're acting on a bias. It's something that we call implicit bias. And being able to understand those things, and also to be able to measure them, right, and study them, is something that lots of organizations are doing right now. And so again, it's really interesting to see kind of the scattershot of where our graduates end up. And I liked what Roxana had said earlier, that teachers end up in schools, nurses end up in hospitals, but social workers end up in a lot of different places. And I'd say that's equally true of sociology and our behavioral science majors. It gives you kind of contact with all of these different parts of society, and it gives you a set of skills that are transferable into those different kind of settings. And so our graduates do end up in a lot of different kinds of careers. And it's really, what do you want to do? That's the first thing that I always ask my students when I'm sitting down with them for the first time in an advising session. I don't go right into what courses do you need to take next year. The first thing I say is, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? What is it that you're passionate about? Where do you see yourself being? What's important to you? And once I know that, then we can talk about what are the concrete steps to make that happen, right? And then we can talk about, okay, well, these are the classes that you'll need to take. And so really, it gives you a lot of those options.
Yeah, great.
So yeah, we've gone through the slides that have the most common occurring employment of sociology undergraduate majors by different fields. And again, I won't read through those things verbatim here. But again, if you want to go back through this later on and take a closer look at that, or Google where do sociology graduates work, you can take a look at those things for sure.
Thank you, Dr. Simon.
Thank you.
I wanted to add a few more things about our department that I forgot to mention at the beginning of this presentation. Is one, we are the most diverse department on campus. And so whether you are a brand new traditional student or whether you are a transfer student coming in, we have a home for you. You will find the great thing about our department that I love is we have 20-year-old students and we have 60-year-old students, and they all come together to support each other in their learning goals and their professional goals. And so regardless of where you are starting out or where you are coming from, I think you'll feel right at home, not only at the Mount, but within our department. Again, we have a great mix of full-time students and part-time students within the social work program. Like I said, we offer courses in the evening, online, and on Saturdays so that you can balance school, work, family, and whatever other responsibilities that you have going on in your life.
And I think one great thing is that we have personal relationships with our students, even for our students who have went to graduate school, staying in contact with them and cheerleading them as they move forward. Last academic year, 100% of the students who applied to an MSW program from our BSW program were accepted. So they had a 100% acceptance rate. And not only did we jump up and down and high five whenever that happened, when they needed assistance finding practicums, we were also a resource for that as well. So it's not just about getting you this bachelor's degree. It's not just about cheering you on across the stage, but it's also cheering you in any area of life. When you get that full-time job that you wanted, or you applied to graduate school, we're going to be here cheering you the whole way, because you're not just a lion whenever you're on campus, but once you graduate and you're an alumni, you're always one of ours as well, even at that point.
Perfectly said, Roxana. Yes, thank you. We have two other resources for you. We do have a Department of Sociology and Social Work YouTube video. It's just a quick 2 to 3 minute video that we welcome you to check out. And also, please follow us on our department Facebook page at MSJ Department of Sociology and Social Work. So we're going to end this presentation here. We want to say thank you for giving us 30 minutes of your time to learn about our department here at the Mount. I hope you can tell that we are awfully proud of our department, that we really appreciate and engage and love our students. And so please reach out at any time, whether you have questions about curriculum, the Mount in general, professional advice, we are here for you. So any other closing comments?
Nope, I think that about covers it.
No. Well,
Absolutely.
thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much for participating. Have a great day.
Yep.